All right, good morning, everyone. All right, how's everyone doing this morning? So far, so good? All right, well, welcome. This is quite an honor here, and it's just so nice that we're back to being live. And I'll tell you, when we started planning this a little over a year ago, it was a little nerve-wracking because we didn't know what was going to happen. But here we are. So first of all, I want to thank all of you for believing in this work. We have schools, districts, states, colleges and universities, nonprofits, parents, political leaders, and businesses represented in the room today. The journey this week is to learn and share on how to shift STEM from an acronym that usually sits within a science class to integrative STEM, which is using science as the hook and connecting the other subjects to the topic being taught, so that we look at how do we see where science is connected to math, to social studies, to history, to all of those content areas. I'm going to have my friend, Principal Washington Hernandez, come up in just a few moments to share more insight about that. But I first wanted to start with, how did we get here? So back in 2004, I was working at the GE Foundation, and the board challenged me to work in the education arena. I'd been doing that with Stamford, Connecticut for some time, and now they wanted to go further. They wanted to expand the work. So it started with the standards. When looking at the TIMSS and the PISA data, the US was falling fast. So a group of states came together to determine what could be done. And what was discovered was students in the US were being taught everything every single year. So a typical grade was expected to cover over 200 concepts, but most schools, it's about 180 days. So how on earth is a child going to learn all of that if we just keep layering it on top of it and on top of them and on top of them? So students weren't mastering that content. So that's why the Common Core State Standards started. They were developed. The intent was to raise learning standards, but the intent was not to tie it to teacher evaluation. The intent was, let's let our students master concepts and then move on. But a lot of lessons were learned from the Common State Standards. So when the next generation science standards were created, a different approach was taken based on those lessons learned. And I am so honored to have our lead architect of NGSS, Dr. Stephen Pruitt, in the house. And so again, NGSS naturally integrates the content areas, which leads to why we're here. The goal of the STEM Leadership Alliance is to reimagine how education is taught. As I said before, using science as the hook and connecting the math, the reading, the writing, the social studies, the art, all of those areas together, so that students actually connect the classroom to the real world. They are our leaders of today and tomorrow, and we need them to be the problem solvers, critical thinkers, and innovators. So the STEM Leadership Alliance must give credit where credit is due. So I have David Barnes, Al Byers, and Sal Fernandez that are here. And at a conference, oh so long ago, just like this one, the concept of the STEM Leadership Alliance was sketched out on a napkin. And thanks to Steve Barbado and Christine Royce for jumping on board, each of these individuals represent the S, the T, the E, and the M. And now we have Kelly Dooley and Kelly McKenna that have also come on board. So of course, we have to have a lot of Kellys in the house. So now what we're seeing is integrative STEM is shifting education. We're going to see examples of this work, especially from New York City. We have 4, 6, and 28 has been doing some amazing work. Kentucky, and as far as the Philippines. And I do have to give a shout out to Lilibeth and Cher from the Philippines for being champions, because we actually have our first STEM Leadership Alliance affiliate that's in the Philippines as well. So kudos to them. So I have to go through this because Steve Barbado would be very proud of me for doing this. But we have 3 principles that we frame this summit around. which are articulated in the STEM for the power of collaboration for change. And this was put together by Advanced CTE, ASSM, CSSS, and ITEEA. I always say the alphabet soup of all of these acronyms, right? But we want to define integrative STEM around 3 principles. The first principle is that integrative STEM should advance the learning of each individual discipline. So what we're saying here is that we're not saying everything has to connect all the time. Students need to learn math concepts, they need to learn their science concepts, but what we are saying, it leads into principle number 2, that integrative STEM education should provide logical and authentic connections. We want to find where can the reading and the writing, the social studies, the math, the science, where can it connect? And then the third one, this is the one we oftentimes forget. This is that integrative STEM education should serve as a bridge to STEM careers. I'll give a quick example that, students, we were doing a basketball program, and the students were saying, well, I just want to be a basketball player. Well, the minute that we started to show the STEM, integrative STEM that occurs there, students realized I could be a wearable device engineer. Oh, I could learn about data analytics. So there was a whole other level of understanding that's not just around one topic, and we need to do more to share about those careers. I do have some exciting news that the STEM Leadership Alliance is now officially a 501c3. And I want to introduce, yes, this is very exciting. So I would like the board members to please stand and smile and wave, okay? So I'm going to ask Jeff Hurt back there. We have Dr. Stephen Pruitt. I have Angelica Infante Green. Dr. David Barnes is over there. I have Al Byers. I have Steve Barbado. Lilybeth is in the room here. There she is in the back. And unfortunately, Dr. Sherilyn Monterola from the University of Philippines was unable to travel here and be with us because she came down with COVID right before she left. So again, I just want to thank this amazing board and the faith as we're on this journey together here. So we have an outstanding summit this week. We're going to get ready to go to the moon. NASA, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as well, but NASA, in collaboration with commercial and international partners, are launching the Artemis mission. It's already in full force there. And the purpose is to have a long-term presence on the moon. So that's what we're going to talk about, and you see all these little activities that are on your table. We're going to be going through that a little bit later. So starting today, we're going to launch a group activity for elementary, middle, and high schools focused on colonizing the moon. We're going to hear from Stephen Pruitt, who always has incredible research to help ground us in our journey. And we're going to have a brief introduction to iSTEM notebooking. Then, of course, we're going to have our STEM Association panel discuss their work and how they have collaborated in showing integrative STEM. I'm excited today to introduce the National STEM Honor Society, and then we have Sussman Education, who will actually introduce the New York City Chancellor, David Banks. Some of you had the opportunity to meet him last night. And then we have an all-star panel featuring the NAACP Connect All Kids initiative. And then we're going to have a very, very special moment today to actually honor Dr. Hazel N. Dukes. And if you don't know about Hazel, please read her bio. She's an amazing individual that I think has so much that all of us can learn from. And then we're going to top off the evening with a reception and partner showcase. And this is an opportunity for us to network, to talk, to see some of the amazing items that are out there, and to engage in that. So we want to get ready for a great week. So at this point in time, I would like to invite my friend, Principal Washington Hernandez, to please come to the stage. And let's hear about your thoughts there around the integrative STEM.
Good morning, everyone. Before I begin, I want to say thank you to Kelly, Sal, my superintendent, Manuel Ramirez, for giving me the opportunity to speak at this year's STEM conference. My name is Washington Hernandez, and I am the proud principal of PS8, an elementary school in District 6 in the Washington Heights neighborhood of Manhattan. I am deeply honored and humbled to be in front of such a large group of caring, passionate, and intelligent educators such as yourselves. So once again, thank you. Forgot my clicker, I have the clicker here. So why are we here? I want you to take a moment and ask yourselves, why am I here at this conference? Why are we here? As you take the different breakout sessions today, just ask yourself that. Why are we here? And we're going to get to that question a little later. I'm going to show you just a brief data point on something that one of the principles of STEM that Kelly spoke about earlier this morning, which is that pathway to careers. The Black and Hispanic worker representation in STEM is very underrepresented still. I don't know if you can see the numbers there, but in all STEM careers, Black and Hispanic workers make up only 17% of the STEM workforce, while whites represent 67%. And then there's a further breakdown on each different subgroup: health-related, life sciences, math, physical sciences, computers, and engineering. The numbers are nowhere near equitable, right? So why is this happening? We can debate this for hours over the various reasons, but one thing is for certain. Students in underserved communities across our city, state, and country have historically experienced an inequity of access. But access to what, you ask yourself, right? Access to a curriculum where all areas of STEM are integrated and connected. Access to a rigorous curriculum taught by well-trained teachers. Access to schools rich in resources, both tangible and intangible, like those Wi-Fi signals, right? And access to pathways to STEM careers where students can see themselves in those careers. So how can I provide access? Why am I here? That's what I want you to think about during the next 4 days of the conference. As you engage in the different breakout sections and these activities that you have on your tables, why am I here? How can I provide access to my students? Because all of us here are part of this solution. From parent coordinators, ask yourself, do I have any parent coordinators in the house? Esperito, over there. Any guidance counselors in the house? If you're a parent coordinator, ask yourself, how can I link parents to STEM resources outside of the school so their students can make those real-world connections? If you're a guidance counselor, ask yourself, how can I bridge the students in my current school to middle schools, high school, colleges, or technical institutions where the students can go to a place of learning where their strengths will shine? If you're a teacher, ask yourself, how can I design thematic units of study where project-based learning lives in my classroom where students can have access to an integrated STEM curriculum? If you're a principal, ask yourself, how can I provide access to my teachers to time, resources, and professional learning so that they can design those said units of study? If you're a district, central office staff, superintendent, or a chancellor, ask yourself, how can I ensure that funding is allocated equitably so that all schools in all of my districts, in all my students, no matter what neighborhood they come from or what background, have access to integrated STEM education? In closing, I'm going to ask you we all have one goal as educators, right? That's preparing students for college and careers. But first, we need to make shifts in student engagement, teacher preparation, rigorous integrated STEM curricula, but we need to do all of this to have equitable access for all of our students. I'm going to share a quick journey about District 6. 8 years ago, our superintendent, Manuel Ramirez, started as our District 6 superintendent, and he saw the need for integrated STEM in District 6. He then partnered with Sal and Kelly with the STEM Happens Network, and we discussed the principles of STEM. We, as a school district, created a district vision with input from all of the schools. He then formed the ITEEA steering committee to guide that work and see how that work is going. We upgraded the tangible and intangible resources in our schools. And tomorrow you're gonna hear more from these 6 principals about the ASSM that is happening in their school. But we're still not there. The work continues, and that's why we're here. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful conference and that you take some of the learning that you take here back to your schools. Thank you, Sal. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Washington. Your speech is very inspirational, and that's why I wanted Washington to give this presentation there, because it is. It's why are we here? And this is what this summit is about. It's about equity and access for all students. It's about taking this learning and saying, how do we apply this back for our kids, so that our kids have the same opportunity as every other student that's out there. So that's why we're gonna go through some of these amazing activities. But before we begin, I do want to introduce a few very special guests. And first, I want to start first and foremost with our Rhode Island Commissioner, Angelica Infante Green. She's right there. We're going to have the opportunity to hear from her as well. And then we will have in the house too, a little bit later, we have Chancellor from New York City, Chancellor Banks, and then also Dr. Hazel Dukes, as I mentioned, and then New York City Council Member Danik Miller. So we have quite a great group that's here.